What is going on, YouTube? Crypto for Change here. We got JT Invest in You, and we got Will. We're coming to you. Obviously, if you're in the Algorand ecosystem, you are probably very familiar over the last few days. There have been some YLDY drama, some things launching when it's not ready, some mishaps on the PR side as far as, this new token that's coming out. And obviously we have digested most, I would say, of kind of what's transpired, what we're personally doing and thinking. So we're going to bring that to you guys today in the video. So make sure to watch all the way to the end. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, but guys, let's just get started. So knee-jerk reactions to this whole YLDY situation.
First of all, like, I seen y'all messages, I'm on the West Coast. I woke up late again and I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, my first reaction, I thought that was a bad move, the way they basically announced and did not communicate, essentially. And everyone researched and found out what's actually going on. I overall, bad move, bad move.
Yeah, I actually found out the night before, I guess you would say the majority. JD, I feel like you were even maybe tweeting out that night before, or you had commented when they first dropped, because I think they dropped at like 10 p.m.
YLDY didn't even drop it. It was the new like esports page that only has like 500 followers right now, that the page that's attached to YLDY. So they were the ones that dropped it, and I noticed a comment on it, and that's how it drew my attention. And I agree with Will there. It was initially not the best look, especially for those of us that are looking for more use cases to the YLDY token itself. And we're kind of excited about this Polygon Studios partnership because we figured, yes, it'll bring more attention to YLDY, which is a net benefit, but we also, at least maybe wrongfully, assumed that it would bring more use case to the YLDY token.
I feel like when we were at Decipher, and Seb kind of was talking a little bit about, YLDY's roadmap and their future plans. To me, it seemed like YLDY would be building this, and yes, there would be a bridge or Polygon use, but it didn't seem like it was going to play out the way it has. And I think that's why you're also seeing so much of this backlash, because so many people, you got to be honest, like, it's not to say I don't love using YLDY. And also even before, because really we didn't know anything about this NFT marketplace, maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago is probably when they started to announce it. So I was still bullish on YLDY and just its own platform, what it was doing. And I'm still bullish on YLDY. Like, it still earns me, bar none, the most money passively every single day. So this isn't a crap on YLDY day or anything like that. I think they dropped the ball on how they released it.
Well, Seb even mentioned in the AMA he gave in the Telegram group that because somebody asked, how would the staking work? Like, how would you stake the ASA YLDY to earn a Polygon YESP token? And it was a great question. They basically said they could have an ASA version of that token, which would be wrapped and bridged, or vice versa, where they could use and Seb directly said they could use the ERC20 version of YLDY and set up staking pools on Polygon. So if the YLDY token, and he also mentioned that the Polygon Studios people or the esports people wanted technology that could work with OpenSea and MetaMask. So those were the biggest issues. You can already hold the ERC20 YLDY token in a MetaMask wallet. Right. And he had mentioned that the staking pools on Polygon would use or could use the ERC20 version of it. So if it's already compatible with Polygon, if you can already hold it in a MetaMask wallet, to me, those answers aren't enough, because it seems like it's completely functional on the platform. So there's I don't know, to me, like I said, it's just not enough of an answer for me to accept it.
I definitely agree. And I read that the transcript, I did not like the controlled environment with those questions, because he kind of like was dodging a little bit. And like you said, I've used the MetaMask to use the ERC20 token with the bridging, when they first dropped the bridging. So that's where my mind went. It was like, okay. Then when you're talking about going from us as in the superior technology, the best technology, to move over to the one that has security issues, because you know how we opt in on the wallet, Polygon and MetaMask, you don't opt in on assets. People can just send you stuff. So there's a lot of different issues that I already foresee. And then to leave YLDY platform, create a MetaMask to go hop on Polygon, which is on Ethereum, essentially, it just doesn't make sense. You know, it just it doesn't add up in terms of like the users.
So I kind of posed this question yesterday in a Twitter space, JT, with you, and we can kind of digest it here as well. You know, we saw obviously that, you know, Seb said in that Telegram, you know, AMA that, you know, this is to raise funds to pay to, you know, to get money to pay the people who are working on this project. And I kind of said in that Twitter space, you know, when I was thinking about, you know, this joint venture, obviously I'm sure YLDY's team is not the only people that had a voice in this new token. Would you agree with that? Or do you think it's all YLDY and just trying to just get money?
For me, it seems like if someone gave you money, they actually have some pull over you. So I don't think it was totally them. They're appeasing Polygon money.
Yeah, because they got the grant from Polygon.
Like. Yeah, Polygon money. And like we say in the group chat, they also received money from Algorand. So it's not like they were just a venture-backed company. The reason why these projects are getting venture-backed money is because they're with the Algorand Foundation, who therefore setting these deals up for them. So to go take this money, use all the TVL lock, all the data from the Algorand people to leverage another blockchain and kind of have a ghost website that's almost exactly the same with all the same information, but Polygon is like not a good look.
Yeah, I can understand that perspective, but I can also understand, at least to touch on the Polygon thing, I can also understand the perspective from a business to want to branch out. And if you believe in the idea of a multi-chain world. Now, I, to some degree, believe in it, but I also do believe that just like most big tech, it's going to consolidate around a couple of the big monopolies at the end. Like there'll be a couple niche blockchains around the edge, but I really do think when the dust settles years from now, it'll be, you know, 2, 3, 4 of the top blockchains, much like we have 2, 3, 4 of the top tech companies. But that being said, part of Seb's answer was essentially that they were launching this token because their team had grown from 7 people to 45 people, and basically said the quiet part out loud that
they need more money.
They wanted to use the token essentially to have more tokens for the insiders, for their new insiders, and probably for the old insiders also. But I did the math earlier, and when I literally have it right here, I have their old trust swap.
So they talk about bonuses, right?
I have the original trust swap thing right here that goes through the tokenomics, and between the team, the expansion and ecosystem partners, the marketing partners, the events, including esports teams, and the reserves, that adds up to about 40% of the token supply that they've already kept for themselves for all of those things. And at today's value, that's roughly $70 million. Granted, I mean, it would likely crash the price if they did just dump it all at once. However, that's not necessarily the point. What I have to conclude from this is either for some reason 70 million isn't enough, or, you know, maybe like 40 million after, you know, liquidity isn't enough, or that they didn't plan their tokenomics and the structuring of their company well enough to foresee an expanding company and an expanding staff. All of that should have, in my opinion, been baked into the original tokenomics. And honestly, looking at the numbers, 40% of the supply set aside for everything I just mentioned, I mean, that seems like it should be enough. So I mean, I would like to get some answers about that. Hopefully we do get some in the future.
Because when you're talking about the way they positioned themselves was the launch pad incubator of Algorand, so to be the main centerpiece. And then so bridging, you know, makes sense, but I still like, it would be one of those situations like we have Walmart is a big company with e-commerce, and we also have Amazon. Like, you know, Amazon didn't just bail out and immediately go hop on to Walmart, you know, after 6 months. So that's why is the part that needs a lot of more clarification and communication. And I know he said in that AMA that he hired Ben and some other staff full time for communication. I'm like, where are they at? And why have they not read, you know, made any public announcements, any public videos? That's the things that need to be cleared.
Yeah.
So I got people in my groups writing too, like they thinking now we're about to be rugged, you know?
Yeah, I think let's kind of, you know, I don't know, not say calm those fears or stir the pot. I'm not trying to do any of that, but like,
I'm stirring the pot today.
Right. Is this a pivot that we're seeing? Like, is YLDY pivoting from, you know, where they were super, bullish on building out the YLDY website and what it was going to be? And are they just going to now start with, if they raise a lot of money with this new token and these people, and they're starting to earn maybe more publicity and more money with this new project, do you think there's a chance that YLDY kind of falls to the back burner?
I actually don't think so. I'm going to play devil's advocate, and my biggest issue has always been about the introduction of now 3 tokens. It's less about the interoperability between chains for me, because even though a lot of us do prefer Algorand, I will not be participating in the Polygon side of YLDY, but a lot of people will be. And I do think, for all the reasons you mentioned before, Will, that, the MetaMask wallet has some issues, and Ethereum in general has some issues, a lot of those users are going to see that Algorand doesn't have those issues. So there's going to be plenty of people that come over from Polygon, and I still think the YLDY page will be the best one because it functions on Algorand. And I think over time, even though the Polygon one might start out the strongest because there's more money in that ecosystem, I do think it's going to port over to Algorand, because it just makes sense to me that it would. So I do think that they are actually building a use case for that Ethereum bridge that they created, because it's not getting used for anything. So now they're creating a use case for it, and a reason why people might want to bridge from the Ethereum and Polygon network into the Algorand network. So that, I will say, I think is a net positive. I just really do wish there was more use case for the YLDY token, as opposed to currently just a staking token.
Yeah. Well, Crypto Nerd kind of said, I watched his little breakdown video right after, the debacle where, it was released. Well, it was a little bit after that. Like, there had already been enough backlash. The YLDY Discord community was like, everybody's pointing fingers and arguing and yelling, and some people are becoming villains over there, I feel like, at this point. But, I think it just goes to show you also how immature, a lot of the investors are, like, that are in some of these places. So you really, like, this is more for the viewers here. You really have to watch where you get your information and who you're listening to, because when you are playing with people's money, and when people's money is on the line, emotions are going to fly high. And that is what I think we saw. But what I would say is, like, obviously no whales were selling yesterday. Like, the whales aren't selling for YLDY. I didn't lose my bullishness for YLDY. And that's what I want to reassure to the viewers. I don't know what you guys have done. I've not sold any of my YLDY. It's still all on YLDY's platform. That's me. But it does, like you were saying on some of your tweets, JT, the dilution and just now this whole kind of pivot or focus now on this new project makes me wonder if, like what Crypto Nerd said, to get back to where I was going, he kind of sees YLDY as being the base swap for most things. Like right now, when we had Tiny Man, ALGO was the base swap. Like, you would swap ALGO for everything. Well, what if we could get YLDY to the point where it is the base swap, where you would always hold YLDY and swap it for Akita, or swap it for, Choice Coin and things like that. And with obviously the on-ramp coming soon, I did hear it's going to be MoonPay, which I'm, as a US investor, I'm not too thoroughly pleased with. Hopefully they figure out a way, to make it work for US residents. I don't even know if that's possible, but, it doesn't make me less bullish for what YLDY can become, but it does make me question where their energy and where their focus is going to be coming in this 2022. Because I was super excited for YLDY's roadmap.
There's still plenty of good things on the roadmap, and if they follow through, I mean, especially looking back at this original trust swap thing, it's a little slower than I expected, but the order of operations was to always start with the prize games, then the staking pools, and then the LP staking pools, the NFTs, and then tie it all together with an AMM DEX. And in the Telegram, he did speak about that still being in the works, and everything's coming together. The LP pools have been postponed because of Tiny Man. So, but once those are fully developed and underway, the next step is that AMM DEX. So I still have a lot of hope for YLDY going forward. I will agree that I am less bullish than I was before, because I thought the YLDY token would also be a main token used on the Polygon network, which would have been amazing for YLDY holders. So I'm less bullish now than I was when I heard that news, but I'm still as bullish as I was before I heard that news, which was still bullish. But I became extra bullish, and I'll be honest, I even leveraged my position through ALGOFI and bought more YLDY. Now, because of this news, I do think I'm going to deleverage, but I'm going to keep my main bag, which was still a hefty bag, because I'm just moving myself back to how bullish I was before I heard the Polygon Studios news, because I don't think too much else has changed. And like I said, I do even think the news is a net positive, but not as big of a net positive as it could or should be.
Yeah, especially with the delivery. I mean, they like, and I'll say this, you know, the viewers, obviously, you know, there are not many ASAs that are in the limelight on Algorand's ecosystem, but one that I think has done a phenomenal job as far as product release, information being released is Opulus. I mean, they have, like, you can tell and obviously Lee Parsons comes from, you know, having Ditto. So he has some of that experience. And obviously the team he had are probably already had that experience, but every drop they've done, especially this week with all the announcements, like they've done a really good job of just the week before saying, hey, next week, we're going to be dropping news every single day. You're going to be excited about it, you know, and then they say the news is, they tell you what time each day the news is going to drop, and it drops. YLDY, no, 10 o'clock at night, I'm scrolling through Twitter. What? A whole new token's coming out, and that's it.
2 tokens.
Right. Well, yeah, if you count the iYLDY, but mainly the new YESP token. And it's like, it's almost like you get sideswiped. And then, like I said, I think they just need to like don't pay these people more, get better people is what I would say to YLDY. Because it's like, there were a lot of questions on that initial comment, and what was their response?
Ye of little
faith.
That I be talking about, that pissed me off so bad.
Bro, I don't even cuss that much, but what the fuck?
Yeah. Because they go, for one, you're not God, it's not religion. We're investors into this product. So you sold us a product, and we have the right to criticize. We have the right to move our money if we choose, but you're not Jesus. You know, so that thing hella, you know, as an investor, fundamentally, it goes, you know, the product. So I like the blockchain. I like what YLDY was doing. And another component is the team and the leadership. And if the team and the leadership is really sketchy to me, then that makes me look at the fundamentals differently, because I don't know if they're going to be able to maintain long term. And if you look at what Jack Dorsey did with Twitter, his energy was a little too divided running two companies like that. So he went with Block or Square more into the financial space, and he let Twitter do its thing. So if we don't see any of those type of moves in the future, you know, I lose my faith in this team, because now they're about going from 7 to 45 employees. Now the next way we know is to get to 100. That's where my mind goes. It's about
how they got to pay the 100, right?
Yeah, because, you know, the more you hire and the more you spend is better for taxes. So I'm starting to think in my business, taxes, like he might be doing moves that has nothing to do with what all of this surface stuff is. You got to spend cash to get more cash in these type of industries.
And the tweets that, you know, they were very immature, in my opinion. There was not, like, the devs and the moderators in the Discord, there was not a good person to handle it. And then after the backlash, there was not good follow-up. And so it has definitely made me question the leadership that's behind the project some. Like I said, I'm still bullish that they're going to come out and they're going to, you know, solve these issues and hopefully, you know, remedy and hopefully in the future plan better releases for how they drop this news. You know, what are your all's thoughts on how they can, you know, remedy? You know, I know they've taken a vote now and they've started to listen and say, all right, well, maybe we won't do the iYLDY, and they threw, and even this, like, they threw out a rash, quick vote. Like, should we get rid of, you know, should we bank iYLDY or should we not? Like, I just feel like it's just a ping pong game at this point. Like, there's nothing that's planned. It's just, now everything is reactionary. What do you guys think? How do they move forward and get past this and actually build to a better YLDY or YESP token or whatever it's going to be?
Let me just touch, this is what I'll say, then I'll let JT, I'm going to be quick. It's like, don't do what our government is doing, like with Biden and all of them. Like, what they need to do is to have more transparency, and communication should be an open door and open policy. Like, they got 50,000 followers on YLDY and stuff, and they're not talking. They're using a platform that got 350 followers, and most of us didn't even know it exists, you know? So it's like, And as Seb Quinn, like he was well spoken at the cipher. So I'm like, get back on camera and talk to us. That's like the first thing I would do. Save face with the community, because people are like basically F this guy, F the whole thing pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting if, they started maybe like a YLDY YouTube page and just like continued to engage the audience or something like that, or maybe even just hosted a Twitter space every other week or something like
Lee
that.
Parsons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
He talks a lot, but he communicates.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for better or for worse, I mean, I know there are some criticisms to be had, that some people in the community have towards Lee, but you're absolutely right. I mean, they do a great job communicating their project and what they're doing. And even the Oculus page itself does a great job doing that. So even if you have a personal issue with Lee, I mean, you can just follow the Oculus page and get all of the relevant info without any of the noise. So, I mean, they do a great job. It would be really interesting how they go about voting on this additional token. I mean, I personally think they shouldn't rush it. They should give us all of the information, give us, every single bit of information on how they plan to distribute it, how it's supposed to be used. I mean, speaking of the governance token here,
Okay.
How they plan to use it, well, how it's planned for us to use it, how it's planned to be distributed, et cetera, all of that. Give us all the information, let us digest it, and then maybe propose a vote. Because if they do it so quickly, everyone's going to be voting on emotions without any of the information.
Facts.
And, I might feel a certain way about it now, but if it's proposed in a certain way with certain rationale behind it, I could change my mind. So, I mean, I would like to see all of the information and have, some sort of communal vote over it, which would be, in my opinion, the best way to do it. However, I don't know how they'd structure that vote, because if you do it with the YLDY token, there are YLDY whales that also have a bias. So, it's a messy process, but I'm sure they could figure it out.
What do you think, David?
For me, then moving forward, like I said, I think it has to stop being this reactionary and like just, type of, community that so far we've seen on Twitter. Like, we need more open communication. Like, some people have invested quite a lot of money into your platform. And so for you to just go out and hype them up and get them excited for a project like the NFT marketplace, and then drop the news the way you did, you can't have that going forward. Like, you have to come through to the people who were there with you from the start. And I think that if they can find a way to, kind of like you said, I host a Twitter space every now and then. I like, me and Kev, he's another Twitter guy. We literally mentioned that to Zone because there were so many questions and issues with the Zone testnet phase, and just a lot of questions that they were having. We were like, dude, you guys got to get out here and answer some of these questions, because you're losing the trust behind you if you don't talk to the people who are investing. Like, we get it. There's whales and there's the VCs and all these people who got tons of money, but guess what? They're not going to be the ones who carry your product on it, way down the road, because you're going to need people, everyday people using it. And we are those everyday people. And if you can't get the trust of the everyday person, your project's going to fail. And so I think YLDY, what they need to do moving forward is take a step back and realize that they messed up. I would even say offer an apology to the YLDY people, because I think YLDY, followers and people who've been there with them since day one deserve that. But take some humility, realize you didn't do it the best way, and then look at how you can improve in the future, whether that's hiring other people, and things like that. As far as all the tokens go, I actually like the iYLDY, the premise of it, but like you said, I want to know more about it. Like, stop just giving us, tidbits of information and then dropping the bombshell and us not having any vote, especially when you said at the start that YLDY's governance was going to be, we were going to have control of the platform and be able to govern and help make those decisions. So that's where I kind of stand with all of it. And obviously, like I said, I've not sold anything yet. I'm still bullish on YLDY for all those who are watching, and I obviously, like I said, it still makes me great passive income, but I want to see better, community reach.
To touch on what both of you said, I mean, it really boils down to C. Will's point that transparency is needed. And to add on to your point, really all of this could have been solved both with the Y esports token and the governance token, if instead of launching it with just mentioning it is in passing, like, oh, it's going to exist, or having a small Twitter page, subsidiary Twitter page tweet about it, you have to announce these things in full detail. I want the tokenomics. I want how it's going to be distributed, the use cases for it. You don't just announce something like the little bits of information of it. Like you said, everything would be at least more answers, and everything would be much more clear if that announcement was made with a post attached to it, or like a
white
Medium,
paper.
a Medium
white
article,
paper,
or a white
paper.
paper, but even like a Medium article that went over everything, from the tokenomics to how it will be distributed to how early YLDY holders will be rewarded and so forth. I think a lot of these issues wouldn't have happened. And to me, that's such a simple issue to fix that doesn't even require any hiring. Like that, you could just do it.
Whoever wrote that last Medium paper, write this one. Like, for my audience or whoever else is watching, yes, I'm still bullish on the Algorand ecosystem as a whole. I'm a futurist. I'm thinking far out. And I have not sold anything. But in terms of some of these projects, now I have to scrutinize even more, be way more patient. And now I'm 100% watching teams 2 times more than I used to watch teams.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to put my money in a bad energy place, or money is energy. So I want my energy to grow and 3x this year. So I need to make sure that who I give my money to, that they thinking the same thing we thinking.
Right. I think there's a lot of boiled up tensions too, because it's just been a really rough start to the year.
It has,
worst 14 days. Like, Algorand is getting
2022 was supposed to be the year. I feel like there's a meme for that. I could probably throw it up, but
I mean,
you were the chosen one, right?
The few bright sides are at least that the blockchain itself has still never gone down, unlike Solana. So unlike some of the troubles we've had with some of these first mover apps, which you do have to give a little credit where credit's due as well. They were the first movers, and first movers will likely have more issues than those that follow, because those that follow have more time to work on their product, build out what worked on other products, fix what didn't work, figure out how communication styles worked and didn't work. So all these newer products that are coming out have the advantage of learning from the first movers that made mistakes before them. So I do think a little bit of slack needs to be cut. But on the bright side, like I said, the Algorand blockchain is still chugging along strong. We've got 20 million accounts or something like that as of today, which is amazing, because just 2 weeks ago it was about 17 million or something like that. We've a couple million in just a couple of weeks. And I mean, for those that are still bullish on YLDY, it dropped like 20% along that news and then was bought right back up. So I mean, that is a bullish sign, especially since we don't even have a DEX for people to be buying. I do actually wonder if the selling would have been worse.
Bro, it would have been bad. I would have sold. I'm telling you right now, I would have sold half my
it would have been worse. I don't think I would have
sold.
sold, but it definitely would have. I mean, I think a lot of it would have been worse just for the overall ecosystem.
And that's if it was going to get bought up like that, that could have been a juicy buying opportunity.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. And that's why I want to say to the viewers, whales aren't selling on this type of news. This is where you have to,
they bought it up real quick.
As an investor and as a long-term investor, you really have to do your own research to really get conviction to hold when things like this happen. Because like I said, when I first saw the news, I read it, I was like, that's interesting. I could have swore that, I could have swore that, I could have swore
I had a few more emotions in
that. I could have swore YLDY dropped the news of the post in the Discord, but I could be wrong. It may have just been, I just kind of stumbled upon it, which I think is dumb, that me being such a backer of YLDY from the beginning, I don't think I should stumble upon something like that.
Yes, exactly. It should have been a much bigger and more transparent announcement, but sorry to interrupt. Continue.
No, but kind of like with what Sewell said, as you were investing, make sure this is showing that the team behind the project is important. There has to be clarity. And I think moving forward, what this will do is this will make some diamond hand players out of certain cryptos, because they'll know the team behind it. They trust them. Hopefully YLDY regains the faith of their community with answering some of these questions. But it also goes to show you can't just trust a project because they have a fancy white paper, a fancy app, a fancy website, because something like this, something like this could happen.
Shout out to the ALGO fam. Shout out to y'all.
Heck yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in with us, hearing our thoughts of the whole YLDY thing that's happened so far. Obviously, we're going to keep you guys updated on any news that drops, as time goes on, and what information we get, with YLDY hopefully responding soon. Follow us on all of our socials so that we can, hopefully get you guys the answers you need. But until next time, guys, let's get out there and make some money.
Take care, everyone.
Peace out.